Moving to BC almost as far as Jean and Sabrina's. Bev Sharpe is a single mom of a 16-year-old boy, Jackson, and a 13-year-old Allison, and Allison is autistic. She has been receiving ABA treatment for over 10 years, financed primarily by Bev. I personally consider most parents of disabled children to be heroes, but Bev is a true hero. Besides working full-time as a meat inspector, she manages a very busy household as well as Allison's home-based treatment program. Bev always finds time to give back. It's all about contributing to the greater good, working collectively for the benefit of all our kids. She always has a wide smile on her face, and there's no such thing as self-pity or cannot do in her household. She is both a litigant and a member of the legal steering committees for Auden and Hugo. There's no busier parent than Bev, and there's no parent more committed to seeking justice for our children than Bev Sharpe. Ladies and gentlemen, Bev Sharpe.
Thank you. 11 years ago, my little girl, 11 years ago, my little girl, at the age of 3, was diagnosed with autism. I finally had an answer as to why she was mute, sat in a corner all day, looked at the lines on her hands, did not interact with anyone in the house, and was interested in very little. I was told by a social worker to concentrate on my then 5-year-old son, because my 3-year-old daughter with a diagnosis such as this would likely have to be placed somewhere else, but there were places for children like her. Fortunately, Sabrina Freeman and Jean Lewis told me that there was treatment available for autism. The name of that treatment, LOVAS, Applied Behavior Analysis. My relief at learning that there was treatment quickly turned to shock when I was told that none of the costs were covered by Medicare. My husband and myself would have to pay for every cent. Well, to me, the choice was clear. I had to provide treatment to this child because nothing else was available, nothing else would work. And my detailed studies over 3 weeks, morning, noon, and night, showed there was no vitamin therapy, hug therapy, dolphin therapy, you name it, that had the efficacy of this treatment. My determination to give our child this treatment was not met with the same enthusiasm by my husband. His greatest concern was depleting his bank account and depleting his retirement fund. So he left the household 3 months after her diagnosis. I was left a broke, but not broken, single parent. And every day I woke up, I asked myself the same question. How on earth am I going to afford to keep this house together and keep paying for her treatment? And I had to ask myself the question because 40 hours of treatment later, my child made her first utterance. And it was, And that was the beginning of her first word, which was, Mama. I had to resort to hawking everything of value that I owned. I became a regular at the East Hastings pawn shops. I worked excessive amounts of overtime. I emptied every account that I had, and I racked up a tremendous line of credit. I became Bev the Handy Gal. I built, refurbished, and reorganized my household so that I could rent out every room in my house in order to pay for this treatment. I could not stop the treatment because it was working. 6 months later, my child was learning where to find a spoon so she could put it on the table and eat her cereal. This was phenomenal to me because the child was unable to eat properly and unable to find any object in the house before. The treatment could not be stopped. So 11 years ago, when talk amongst a small group of FEATBC parents turned to suing the government for treatment dollars, I knew that I had to do the right thing. I was able to provide treatment for my child under terrible circumstances, but she was getting the treatment. What on earth do hundreds and hundreds of parents do who can't afford a dime towards treatment? Well, I couldn't live with this, neither could Sabrina Freeman, neither could Jean Lewis, and neither could the small group of very brave parents who decided they would take the government to court. For 10 years, I sat as a member of the steering committee at Mike and Jean Lewis's home with our lawyers Christopher Hinkson and Brigitte von Krozak. Strategies were set, direction was given, and the Otten and Hugo cases were launched from the living room of the Lewis household. Strong judgments from the BC Supreme Court and a unanimous decision from the Appeals Court of British Columbia did not prepare me well for when I sat in the courtroom in the highest court of the land in Ottawa, where I saw 7 very tired-looking and disengaged Supreme Court of Canada judges. I was surprised at the break to be informed by a sheriff that the entire courtroom, for the first time, had to be rearranged to allow for a record number of interveners. Interveners from every single province across this land who sent their top lawyers to fight against upholding the BC Otten decision. It was there in that courtroom that I saw Justices Binney, Bastarache, Lavelle, Deschamps, Fish, Major, and our own BC Gal Chief Justice Bev McLaughlin deny the rights of these children to medically necessary treatment. But please note, these judges upheld the findings of fact that recognized that ABA was indeed gold standard and that it worked. What the judges did was acquiesce to a room full of government lawyers from every province, and the judges said, we won't order the provinces to pay for this treatment. So here we are today. This treatment has saved my child and every child in a bona fide low-VAS ABA program from a hopeless, lonely, non-existence in an institution. This treatment has given my child a life. I'm so very proud to stand here today and tell you that my child now has the human dignity of being able to eat properly at the dinner table. She's able to dress herself. She has learned how to speak. She has also got the human dignity of being able to toilet herself without anyone having to help her. She likes dogs. She asks to go for a walk with Mom. She helps with the laundry and has household chores that she is responsible for. She's a member of the household. She goes to school with her highly skilled and well-trained aide. Thank you, she's here with us today. And my child's recent choices to wear perfume and jewelry to school are evidence of a funny, strong-willed, and joyful child that is a result of thousands of hours of one-on-one treatment that has released her from the isolating cage of autism. My child is a Canadian citizen who is one day going to be a taxpayer, not a tax burden. She has been left an orphan of the Medicare system, and it is an unbelievable situation for which there is a solution. Elect the politicians who are going to vote yes to having ABA treatment included in the Medicare Act of Canada. We have David Marley to thank for this strategy, and he will be speaking with us later. The Supreme Court decision made headlines in every city. The fact that the provinces chose to make the egg on their face a little less obvious by throwing a few treatment dollars to the parents of autistic children is nothing more than shameful. Don't be naive. The government can take away what little funding there is now with the stroke of a pen. ABA treatment must be included in the Canada Health Act to guarantee every single child's right to treatment. Action is necessary, and it is necessary right now. I'm going to leave you all with a few words that I have carried with me for 11 years. Martin Luther King said, "In the end, it is not the words of our enemy we shall remember. It is the silence of our friends." And I want to thank you all here today for not being silent, because we need Medicare for autism now.
Before I go any further, I'd like to just say, in the room behind me are a number of people and a number of kids, and from time to time the door will open. I'd like to give a round of applause to the parents who are in the room there, just supervising things so things don't get too out of hand. So thank you.